So welcome everyone. This is Africa ELTA webinar. We are glad to have you with us tonight, and we are also welcoming our speaker for the webinar tonight, Alistair Grant. Alistair is a teacher, trainer, an ELT author, and a public speaker. He is very active in professional development, and he has been the head of the English at different language centers in South America and Argentina. We are glad to have him with us tonight. You can read the bio on our website. It's a long one, but we are very excited about today's webinar because Alistair is going to share with us uh, ideas about engaging our teens, generation Z and beyond. Alistair, welcome to Africa ELTA webinar. We're glad to have you with us tonight. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Amira, for that lovely welcome presentation. And thank you to Mahamba for everything and helping to organize this event. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with you this evening. Well, it's this afternoon my time. I'm based in Buenos Aires in Argentina. So first of all, before we start today, I'd just like to ask everyone if you can write in the chat box in Zoom. I see some of you have been using it already, which is great. Where you are, where you're from, and who you teach, like what ages or levels of students you teach. In my case, for example, well, Amira's just told you, but apart from teacher training, I also teach at a secondary school where I'm head of English. I teach fourth year class. So that would be, they're like 15 years old, and they're also going to be hopefully sitting for the Cambridge First Certificate exam next year. So if you haven't seen it, I think, oh, great, that's great. So Mubarak from India has written in the chat box, and please everybody put down exactly what, yeah, Doreen, that's great, for example. Sorry, Della from Ghana, teaching 15 to 19. If everyone could do that, that would be fantastic. So that it would be a really nice idea to see what kind of ages everybody teaches, or maybe, I don't know if you're a teacher trainer or a director or coordinator, something like that. Great, honey. Okay, so from the Philippines, teach ESL to young and professional learners. Great. Yuga from Senegal. First and second and third form students, 13 to 17. A great age, but it can be a challenging age. I'm sure you will agree. Okay, so got public secondary. I'd be interested to know in Guinea what it's like. For example, here in Buenos Aires in Argentina, public schools like state schools the classes can be up to like 40, 45 students. I don't know if it's the same in Guinea. Deborah, oh great, you're doing teacher training in Oregon. Fantastic. Hello, Andrea, how are you doing? Okay, very good. Yes, challenging, absolutely. Good. Okay, from Cameroon, 11 to 18. Wow. And Estienne, that's quite a range of ages. Fantastic. 7 to 12 years old. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about, it's one of the reasons I wanted to get you to do that was because, as you know, today we're going to be talking about engaging the teens of 2022, Generation Z and beyond. Now, a question for you. I'm going to be asking you to use the chat box in Zoom a lot during this session, okay? Just like you've been doing, I'm going to be asking you to use it a lot. So if you thought that you were going to be able to relax this evening, I'm afraid you're not. You're going to be doing a lot of work in the chat box. How engaged does this girl look on this slide? If you don't recognize her, by the way, I was talking to Mahamba about this slide the other day. This is Britney Spears, the North American singer. Yeah, she doesn't look very engaged, does she? So I thought at the beginning of this session, I would give you a little bit of theory, some background about engagement, learner engagement theory and where it comes from. Here it is. Here is the theory. There's quite a lot of text there. I'll just give you a minute to read it. I'm only joking, by the way. You don't have to read that at all. How engaged did that slide make you feel, this one that I just showed you? Yuga said of the first picture, for example, she feels no interest. Well, you probably felt no interest looking at that slide with all the text in it either. Yeah, absent-minded, can't wait to leave class. Yeah, definitely, exactly. And to be honest, Della, I mean, we've probably all felt like that when we were at school in some classes. No, let's be honest about it. And if I want you to think actually now, all of you, not just Della, but all of you, who were your favorite teachers, or who was your favorite teacher when you were at school, when you were at secondary school? Who was your favorite teacher? And think about why they were your favorite teacher. And actually, if you want, you can put their names in the chat box as well. In my case, for example, it would have been my English teacher, Mrs. Maitland. And the reason for that is she was very, very engaging with all the activities that we did. And it was all about the relationship that she built with the students. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. That's what we're going to be talking about this evening. What is engagement? Well, this presentation really is based on the work of Sarah Mercer, who some of you might know. And if you don't, by the end of this session, you definitely will. Great. Oh, that's great, Della. Okay, so your English teacher. Thank you, Godfrey. Great. This is what I mean. It's like, you know, they're interesting, right? And it's interesting what Honey has said, that her English teacher helped develop the speaking confidence. Okay, so let's see. Learner engagement is one of the hottest research topics in the field of psychology, say Sinatra, Heddy, and Lombardi. This is definitely something worth looking into, and that's why we're here today. Sarah Mercer herself calls it a personal investment in the learning process and an inner drive to learn and improve. Right, sorry, just going back to the chat box for a second, it's interesting what Yuga has said. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name well, but your English teachers kept you awake to follow the classes till the end. See, I think that's the key, isn't it? We've got to keep our students awake somehow. Good. Okay, so we're gonna get engaged now. I'm gonna put you all into teams for this activity. I'm gonna put you into 2 different teams. I don't know if you're Harry Potter fans, but you'll either love it or hate it by the end of this session. So here's what we're gonna do. If your last name starts with a letter from A to M, you are in a team called Gryffindor. If your last name starts with a letter from N to Z, you are in a team called Slytherin. So what I want you to do is, in the chat box, first of all, I just want you to tell me which team you are in. We're going to be using these teams for the rest of the session, okay? Okay, good. So we've got Gryffindor, 2 Gryffindors so far. Okay, so I tell you what, honey, let's start with that one, because there's not many Slytherins. So if you could be Slytherin, that'd be great. Amira, your last name? If it's maybe it's not Salama. You love Slytherin. Good. Okay, fine. Good. All right. Great. Okay, so perfect. Okay, so we've got quite a lot of Gryffindors. So Slytherin, you're going to need to work hard, okay, to get the points here. Definitely you're going to have to work hard. There's a lot of Gryffindors here today. Okay, great. Okay, let's go for it. So this is a little quiz about the different generations, first of all, and some challenges with teens in class. So let's start with this. On this graphic in front of you, there are a lot, well, all the generations since just after the First World War. Now, I have blanked out A, B, C, D, and E here. What I'd like you to do, I'd like you to guess, and this is for points for your team, which generation do you think is Generation Z? A, B, C, D, or E? Which one do you think it is? Well, okay, here we go. So we've got Monica saying E. I'm going to go through these, okay? So get your answers in the chat box. Okay, so A are the baby boomer generation. So this would be my parents' generation, for example. And Generation X, 65 to 80, which is my generation. So you can do the maths. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. Then C is the other millennials, or some people call them Generation Y. And then the correct answer, Generation Z, or also called the Zoomers, was D. And I think the first person to say D was Andrea Navajas. So you are in Team Slytherin. Slytherin get 1 point. Okay, and I tell you what, I will give a point to a team if you can tell me the name of the latest generation, the one that's E there. Difficult one, this. So we've got baby boomers, Generation X, millennials, Generation Z, and nope, the latest one, E up here, is very good, honey. Absolutely right. And you are Gryffindor. I'm going to give a point to Gryffindor for that. I think it's Generation Alpha. That's right. Born between 2010 and the mid-2020. Ah, I'm sorry. I forget that you're actually Slytherin. Right, Slytherin, you're 2 points ahead at the moment. Okay, so what does that mean? This is what it means. Let's talk about some Generation Z people. When watching a video, for example, YouTube, what is the average attention span of a Generation Z user? A, 8 minutes, B, 80 seconds, or C, 8 seconds? What do you think it is? Amira says C, 8 seconds. Amira is correct. It is only 8 seconds. That's another point for Slytherin. Next question. Generation Z has never known a world without social media, cell phones, or internet. What do you think? Yes, Slytherin really is rocking at the moment. Deborah, you read my mind. You are correct. You saw that it was a trick question. Listen, Deborah Healy, just because of what we were saying with Honey, are you actually Slytherin or Gryffindor, Deborah? I'm presuming you're Gryffindor, but... Okay, all right, Gryffindor, you've got your first point. Well done, congratulations. Right, next, nearly half of the people from Generation Z say that which of the following is the highest priority in the home? A properly working Wi-Fi connection, properly working hot water in the bathroom and kitchen, or a properly working fridge? Deborah, again, correct. It's a properly working Wi-Fi connection, they say. The score is 3 points to Slytherin, 2 points to Gryffindor so far. Okay, right. We will continue with the competitions a bit later. This is just to show you something, though. I would say certainly in the United Kingdom and in the United States as well, these are some slang terms that different generations use. This is more for interest rather than anything else. My dad still says groovy quite a lot, for example. And I remember when I was at school using words like rad and wicked. Generation Y, now we're getting into territory now that I don't recognize some of these terms, like for shiz, I don't even know what that means. Generation Z, I only know what GOAT means. Apparently it means greatest of all time. Now, then we got the slang from Generation Alpha. I don't know what any of these mean at all. Lit, yeet, hundu, oof, RN, ideas. I don't know what any of those mean. If any of you do, I will be very impressed, and you can translate Generation Alpha talk for me. Okay, so let's move on. Do we need to change the way we teach? Now, Sarah Mercer says, fortunately, we don't need to change the way we teach. She actually offers a formula for learner engagement. Here it is. She says engaging activities need to be something that she calls clara. And what I'd like you to do actually is fill in the blanks here. It would be too easy to tell you, no? So you've got ch, le, ak, r, or something there. What do you think the missing words are? Engaging activities need to be clara. What do you think? Yeah, no, I agree with you, Andrea. It's a good expression. I have actually heard it before. I think it was on Netflix or something. I heard it. Good, Monica. So challenging, good. Not changing, but challenging. Good. Learner-centered. Excellent. Keep it going. Not cheating. Not cheating. Well, it depends what kind of students you have, Godfrey, I suppose. So challenging, learner-centered. Okay, if we're stuck on the next one, I'm going to tell you what it is. It's active. Yeah, learner-centered, active. And then you've got this one here, the next one is good, relevant, or valuable. And then excellent, Abdulaziz, yes. Autonomy rich is the last one, good. So we've got challenging, learner-centered, active, relevant, valuable, and autonomy rich. Sounds complicated, as Sarah will point out, it's really not though. Let's see, how do we do this? Aren't they, Amira? I'm quite impressed. How do we do this? Well, one of the things you will have seen in the abstract is something about the super skills, right? Something about the super skills. And this is about fostering learner engagement and how we do it. So let's talk about this. Saxena says that there are 4 super skills in the 21st century that are essential for students. And it's not just reading, writing, maths, etc. It's something more involved than that. What are they? Here they are. So we've got critical thinking and problem solving is 1, communication, collaboration, creativity, and innovation. Okay, so you've got those 4 super skills, and we're going to look at each of those now. Okay, good. I agree, Yuga. They're very fast, aren't they? Great to see you, Jehudi. Fantastic. Okay, so let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, critical thinking is going to be the first one. What is this then? So it's examining the thinking of others to improve our own. Here is a little activity that goes with that. In front of you, you can see a little card with 6 different animals on the card. You've got a bee, a starfish, a monkey, a penguin, an elephant, and a dog. Now, I'm going to show you another card now. And what I want you to do is, on the card that I show you, you have to tell me in the chat box the animal that's repeated. There's only one. We'll do this one as an example, okay? So which is the animal that is repeated? The bee. Very good, Monica. All right, so now we're going to do it for points for your team, okay? So here we go. Gryffindor and Slytherin, get ready. Here it comes. Which is the repeated animal now? From the previous slide. Which one is it? Good, honey, absolutely right. That is 1 point Slytherin. Okay, good, that's it. It was the cow. Right, next. Which one is repeated from the previous slide this time? Bum, 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 bum. Okay, yeah, elephant, Andrea. That's another one for Slytherin. Slytherin, you're getting quite into the lead this time. Okay, we'll do, just because of time, we're just going to do one more, okay? Everybody ready? Fingers on your keyboards, please. 3, aren't they? Aren't they? 3, 2, 1, go. Which one is repeated now? It's not the monkey. It's the crocodile. Slytherin, you're on fire today. You're on fire. Slytherin are in the lead. Don't worry about it. It worked. Actually, now that you've mentioned spelling, I want to mention something about that. Listen, question for all of you. How many of you are doing online classes? If you are, you can put just me in the chat box. Because if you are, you can use this for like Honey actually mentioned, for spelling. Obviously, if you do this online, it's great that you can like check the student spelling, for example. If you're doing this face-to-face, it's interesting, Honey. If you're doing this face-to-face, though, you can do this with them repeating the names of the animals. But it doesn't just have to be animals. It can be any lexical set you want. If you look at the bottom right of the screen, I should have said, sorry, at the end of the presentation, I'm going to give you all my contact details. So if you want this material, just drop me an email and I will send it to you. On that link that you can see at the bottom right of the screen down there, there's a website, and that website makes different cards for you. So you choose pictures and it makes the cards for you. Animals, jobs, food, weather, countries, whatever. And it's really good because the students are drilling the names of the different things in the lexical set, but it gamifies it, so it makes it challenging. Great, honey. So at the end, take my email and I'll send it to you, okay? Right, that's enough for that. I think we've got the idea. Let's move on. Let's talk about communication now. There's a couple of lovely quotes about communication here. Trilling and Fadel talk about oral, written, and non-verbal communication, which is very interesting, how important that's going to be. But my favorite quote here is this one down here. Gerald says that being able to communicate effectively is the most important of all life skills. So let's do an activity related to that. This is called Word Time Bomb, okay? Now, you're all going to need to use the chat box for this again. I want you to imagine that I am in England hanging out with a couple of my friends, for example, and while I'm hanging out with my friends, we get a little bored sometimes. So we want to play a game, and maybe we might play a game like this. On the left and right of this picture, you can see two different types of lexical set. You can see jobs and you can see animals like we had in the previous slide. So this is how it's going to work. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my phone, and it's not to ignore you, it's going to be to set a timer. I'm going to set 2 timers actually. Only 30 seconds. In class, I recommend you do this for a minute or 2 minutes, and I will explain why. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe a job. There are times, of course, or a job or an animal. There are times, of course, when our students are speaking, when they can't find the right word, no? And what they often do in speaking exams, well, you tell me, what do they do in English? If they can't find the right word, what do they do? Unfortunately, especially in exams, they like freeze. Oh, Andre, if you're lucky, they paraphrase, right? Freezing happens a lot, and this exercise is designed to help students with paraphrasing. So instead of saying, if they don't know the word, I don't know, doctor or something like that, it's someone who blah. So let's see how this works, okay? Slytherin, you're in the lead. So Gryffindor, you're going to go first with this. This is only for Gryffindor people, right? So you've got 30 seconds. I'm going to describe either jobs or animals to you. And you need to, as soon as you know who I'm or what I'm talking about, you need to write it in the chat box. This is only for Gryffindor at the moment, okay? 3, 2, 1, here we go. It's somebody who stands in front of a classroom, and he might tell the people in the classroom, the students, very good, Monica. Okay, next one. The next one, this is the kind of animal that you often see in the countryside, probably in, well, many parts of the world, and they are very woolly. They have a lot of wool, and they make a noise like bear. Very good, Deborah, good. And you are also very good. Okay, stop. That was 30 seconds. Right, Slytherin, it's your turn now. Let's see how many we get in 30 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go. This is a huge animal, probably one of the largest animals in the world, and it lives in the sea. I'm trying to think whether you call this an animal or whether you call it something else. Anyway, it's very large. It lives in the sea. Very good. And there, that's one for Slytherin. Right, next. This is a kind of person who, this is somebody who looks after your teeth. Nobody likes going to see this kind of person, but they look after your teeth. Very good. Amira, great. That's another one for Slytherin. So that was 2 for Gryffindor, 2 for Slytherin with that game. So that's how that game works. And it really helps students develop their paraphrasing skills. Okay, let's move on. The next point on the list is collaboration. It's the skill of teamwork, working in groups, and working cooperatively with others. Yeah, adrenaline rush. Listen, speaking of which, I better tell you what the score is at the moment. Slytherin are in the lead with 8 points and Gryffindor have 4. So Gryffindor, you have to catch up, okay? All right, so collaboration. Let's have a little look at this now. This is a game called What Am I? Now, the reason it says you and me on the board, as it were, you have to imagine this were a whiteboard at the school or a chalkboard or whatever, is that what you have to do is you have to guess what type of animal I am, because I want you to imagine I'm not a teacher anymore. I'm not an Englishman. I'm an animal, and you have to guess what type of animal I am. Now, you can ask me questions, but you can only ask me questions to which I could say yes or no. That's it. Okay? Only yes or no. Now, whenever I say no, you guys get a point. Whenever I say yes, I get a point. Okay? Sorry, the other way around. I beg your pardon. Whenever I say no, you get a point. Whenever I say yes, I get a point. Yeah, that's right. Good. Okay, so let's go. Please ask me questions, and you have to really pay attention to the questions that each other has answered to get which animal I am. Do I eat insects? No, I do not. That's it. That's the only question you're going to ask me. You're not going to get which animal I am with one question. Do I eat insects? Ask me something. Do I live in the sea? Good question. No, I don't live in the sea. Are you a teacher? No, I'm not. Are you hairy? Nice question. Yes, I'm hairy. Have you ever visited Senegal? As this animal? No. No, I'm not a lion. Good thinking. I'm not a lion. I've got a lot of points and you guys haven't got many points yet. So come on, ask me more questions. What kind of an animal? Did I eat vegetables? I don't eat vegetables, this animal. Do you know the Wolof word for teacher? No. Wait, you're guessing which animal I am. Do you live in a cage? Right. No, I don't live in a cage. Do you have scales? No, I don't have scales. Do you eat bones? Yes, I can. A tiger? No, I'm not a tiger. Right, so you know that I'm hairy. I'm still not a tiger, no. I'm hairy. I might eat meat. I do have claws. I'm not a cat. You're very close. Do you have long ears? Not especially. No. Honey, you're the closest at the moment. Ibier Ken, are you a dog? Listen, which team are you? Well, you're definitely Gryffindor, aren't you? That's definitely a point for Gryffindor because I am a dog. That's correct. Geraldine, I love your question. Are you a mermaid? No. That's my favorite question so far. Are you a mermaid? Good. Okay, so that's me. Listen. Question for you all. What kind of language does that help you diagnose as a teacher? If your students are saying, are you this, are you that, do you do this, do you do that? What kind of question? What kind of, I just think I gave you the answer. No, what kind of language does it help you diagnose as a teacher? It helps you diagnose question formation. It sees how good your students are at yes, no question formation. And I'm not sure what it's like in your L1s, but in the L1 here in Argentina of Spanish, there's an inversion of the subject and the verb, which doesn't happen in English. So it's a good activity for that. Great. Okay. Non-verbal communication skills. Trilling and Fadel mentioned non-verbal communication skills here. You can have a look at this quote in your own time, I guess, if I send you the presentation, you can have a look at it there. But I want to focus on non-verbal communication skills for a second. What do any of you use these things when you're sending messages to each other? And do your students use those? Now, yes, emojis, exactly, a lot, absolutely, sometimes. Okay. So you're all right, you're saying basically nearly everybody, Joseph, no, but a lot of people here have said yes. How confident do you think you are at being able to tell me which emotion each emoji represents? Like this one, for example, I guess this is quite a simple one. No, I guess, I mean, it looks like quite a positive one. Very confident, Folu. Okay, good, good. Yeah, this one looks like glad, smile. Okay. Let's see. Now, remember, this is all about non-verbal communication in learner engagement. Okay, so you're going to be doing this for points for your team. And I've chosen some really tricky ones. This one was a nice, easy one, but now you get the tricky ones. Okay, so here we go. Here is the first one. What on earth does this emoji represent? What emotion does this emoji represent? This is interesting. Happy and hurt, fear, shocked. So we've got very positive and very negative. Let's see. And then I'm going to tell you where I got these from. Apparently, this represents nervousness, embarrassment, or awkwardness. I like that, mischief. But definitely it represents a negative emotion, apparently. Excuse me. I wouldn't have guessed those. All right. What about the next one? Now, I've used this emoji a lot, and I'm not 100% sure what it represents. Speechless, says Amira, as does Honey. Silent, mute, flabbergasted. Excellent word. I love that expression. Right. According to the source that I got this from, which I will reveal to you very shortly, it means mild irritation and concern, or a deadpan sense of humor. Now, I didn't know that. To me, I agree with everyone who's put speechless. I totally agree with that. Okay. I'm now going to show you the last one. And for me, this is probably the most difficult one to work out. And I bet we all use this one. And apparently it means something, or it can mean something completely different from what we normally use it as. And it's this one. So what does this one mean to you? And then I'm going to show you what it meant to the creators of that emoji, which I think might have been Apple. Okay, normal face, happiness, mischievous. Apparently you are closer. And I'm going to show you why now. I'm going to show you why. It can convey a range of positive sentiments. However, its tone can also be patronizing, passive-aggressive, or ironic. Yuga said, I'm going to give you a point for Gryffindor. As if saying, this is fine, when really it's not. Now, I have used that in that way, I have to say, like between us right now, perhaps if somebody says that they're going to be late for school and they get sent a message like that. So what's interesting about this is, by the way, this is my source. It's from Emojipedia. That's where I got these from. It's very interesting to have a look at some point. Do have a look at it. Why this is interesting as regards nonverbal communication with students. Again, we were talking about paraphrasing earlier on. It's how you feel when, etc. So I'm going to give you an example. You've got all these different emoji emotions in front of you. It's how I feel, and I want you to give me an answer in the chat box. It's how I feel when all of my students, I go to class and all of my students have done their homework. They've all done their homework. They've all done it well, and everybody is on time for class. Now, which one do you think that is? Because normally, actually, I should give you a bit more background. Normally, my students never do that at all. So it could be proud or happy, but in my case, it's probably shocked, actually. It's shocked or surprised. But again, what's good about this is the way that it gets students to paraphrase if they can't think of exactly the right word. And they use emojis all the time, for example. Good. Okay, I'm going to explain the next activity to you. We're not going to do it just because of time, but I will explain how this activity works to you. It's called Team Scavenger Hunt. Now, a few of you put in the chat box that you're teaching online at the moment, and this is ideal for teaching online. And I'm going to show you how it works. You can ask your students to find something from where they are. Now, here in my context of Argentina, there are a lot of schools that are still teaching online because of the pandemic and for other reasons as well now. So on a platform like this, like Zoom, you can ask your students to, for example, find something red. And they have to go somewhere in their house or wherever they are and find something red. Like in my case, I found something red. A teacher's notebook, a red teacher's notebook, or there you go, Jibby, a tomato, exactly. So they can go somewhere and get something red and bring it to the camera. Your tie, good, okay, perfect, good. A love heart, exactly, good. Something cold, something to eat, and ask your students to get something you love. It's a lot of fun and it gets very, very competitive. Also, a really nice idea with this is to ask them to get something that connects to an adjective, like round or flat or heavy or long, for example. So it gets them like connecting the language with their real life, with everyday life. Okay, creativity and innovation. This is one of my favorites. Which is new ideas or new uses of ideas to add social value. So let's talk about this. Now, you know that we can be very creative with words in English, right? I'm going to show you a picture. Here's the picture. What event, in my opinion, very bad event, in Europe does this picture represent? This happened a few years ago. Well, of course, it's still happening now, but there was a vote about it. And yes, Abdulaziz and Andrea, the Brexit, exactly. Now, the word Brexit is a portmanteau. Some people call them blended words of British or Britain and exit equals Brexit. Can you think of any other portmanteau words? There's quite a lot in English. And this is only one of them. But the activity I'm going to show you now is getting your students to create their own portmanteau words. Brunch, there you go. Oxbridge, exactly, good, absolutely right. Okay, so the first one, I love that one. I love staycation. It's a brilliant, yeah, it's actually something that I'm going to be doing over the Easter holiday that's coming up. I'm going to show you a portmanteau, which is from urbandictionary.com. If you've not discovered urbandictionary.com, you've got the link down there. That's your homework, okay? Look at Urban Dictionary. You will lose an hour of your life looking at it. It's absolutely fantastic. So the first one is invented by Urban Dictionary. Here it is. And I would like you, and here it's a chair drobe. I'm going to show you a picture of a chair drobe. And I want you to tell me whether any of you have a chair drobe at home. This is a chair drobe. Right, Honey has a chair drobe. We have a chair drobe at home here, definitely. We have at least one chair drobe. Actually, the chair I'm sitting on, this was a chair drobe. This is a chair drobe, the small, till just before the session. So that's a chair drobe. Right, I'm going to show you two more, but these are ones that my students invented. So the first one is hibernate. What I want you to do is tell me what you think hibernate means. What do you think it means? Or actually, you could tell me what you think the words, what both of the words are that make the portmanteau of hibernate. Okay, no guesses? Okay, well, I will tell you. Ooh, not bad, not bad. Yeah, my mum still hates chair drobes. You're not far wrong, Honey. I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what it is. So it's two. The words are hibernation and date, or actually, I should say hibernate and date. This has probably happened to you. Imagine one of your friends gets a new partner. Good, follow. One of your friends gets a new partner and they disappear for a month from the social scene. They vanish. I'm like, oh, what's happened to Jenny? No, Jenny's got a new partner. She's hibernating at the moment. But I really like that expression. My favorite one is this one, though. Destinesia. Destinesia. And I'm going to put in the chat box what the two words are. Destination, amnesia. Honey, you're very, very close. Very, very close with this. It's not that you forget where to go. It's something a little bit more embarrassing than that. And I must say, this happens to me a lot, Destinesia. Destination, amnesia. Okay. If you've got no guesses, I will tell you what Destinesia is. So it's the situation where you're at home, right? You're working or whatever, and you go into another room in your home, and you get to that room and you think, why did I come in here? Why did I come into this room? Ever had that situation? Well, I've had that situation a lot. That's the idea of Destinesia. Like, why am I here? Why did I come into the living room? I don't remember. And you have to go back to I have to go back to where I am to remind myself what I was doing. Okay, so that's creativity. Yeah, we've all done it. Well, we all suffer from Destinesia in that case. So Sarah Mercer says, engaging activities need to be clearer. Thank you very much, Mahamba. So challenging, learner-centered, active, relevant, and autonomy rich. But do we have to, we've already said we don't have to change the way we teach, because what Sarah Mercer says is we can work on these at task level. So what does that mean? I'm going to give you an example of what that means, right? This is going to be one of the last activities we do, because I know Mahamba's going to want us to get on to the question and answer shortly. Okay, I'm very happy to hear that, by the way, honey. That makes me happy. It's not difficult to laugh at 3 o'clock in the morning, so that's good. Right, listen, in front of you, you've got a text. Now, this text is from a course book, but you know, whether you use a course book, whether you use a text that you've written yourself, often we introduce language to students in texts, because we know that in an ideal world, new language needs to be contextualized so that it gives more meaning to the students when they're learning it, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is the following. You can see that there are 7 words that I've covered in yellow that you cannot see. And what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to read to you all the original text, which I have here on my phone at a natural speed. What you have to do is write in the chat box the missing words, but there are 7 missing words, but I do not want you to put one word, send the word, another word, send the word, another word, send the word. No, what you're going to do is write all 7 missing words in the chat box. And when I get to the end of the text, only then are you going to send the message in the chat box, okay? Do we all agree? Good. And the first person to do it is going to get 2 points for their team. By the way, the score right now, Slytherin have 8, Gryffindor have 6. So if Gryffindor get this one, they could draw. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's go. By the way, I'm reading off my phone. I'm not ignoring you. Gertrude Trudy Adele was born in New York in 1905. Her parents were from Germany, and she was one of 6 children. Trudy loved swimming, and at the age of 12, she started training at the Women's Swimming Association. Swimming was not a popular women's sport at the time, but Trudy was a very talented swimmer. She broke 8 world records and won an Olympic gold medal. When she was 19, Trudy Adele became the first woman to swim the English Channel. Normally, this is a very difficult 34 kilometers swim. The day Trudy swam, the weather was terrible, and she swam a total distance of 56 kilometers. It took her 14 hours and 34 minutes. Trudy was the first woman, and her time was also 2 hours quicker than the men's record. After her swim, Trudy was a hero in the United States, but her later life was quiet. She taught swimming to deaf children for many years and died in 2003. Right, let's have it. Right, Andrea, you are first, but let's see if you've got these. 1905, Germany, training, sport, talented, weather, quicker, deaf. Andrea Navajas, that is 2 points for Gryffindor. That means that at the moment, the score is Gryffindor have 8 points and Slytherin also have 8 points. Yes. Oh, I've just seen what Mahamba's put about the questions and answers. Then Mahamba, when I finish in about a minute or so, you tell me what you want to do, how you want me to do it, okay? All right, so the final scores. Well, I've just told you the final scores, actually. I tell you what I'm going to do. We need a tie break, don't we? Sorry, Africa ELTA, I will finish the session in a minute. I tell you what, we need a tie break. So I'm gonna think of something to, I know, to give us a tie break. We were looking at portmanteaus. Some people gave the example of brunch and some people gave the example of staycation. Can anyone give me an example of another portmanteau? Another word that's made of 2 words together. This is the tie break, okay? And if nobody gets it, nobody gets it. Honey, did you just invent that? Did you just invent that? I think you might have just invented it, but I'm actually going to give that to, because I don't think more night exists, honey. But I do love it. I do love it. But Folu, edutainment, which is a great word, does exist, definitely. And you are Gryffindor. That means Gryffindor get the last 2 points. And that means that Spork is a great one, by the way. I really like Spork. It's a very silly one, but it's very good. So the final scores, Gryffindor, you've got 10 points, and Slytherin, you've got 8 points. So well done to Gryffindor. Gryffindor just won at the end. My granddaughter wears a skort. Now, sorry, I've got to ask, what is a skort? That's a new one on me. So, sorry, Gryffindor at the end win. You just came from behind and just won in the last minute, Gryffindor. A skirt with shorts as part of it. Okay, so that's like jeggings, for example. Oops, sorry, jeggings, no? Like leggings that are also jeans. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so engaging activities need to be clear. Well, you know what these are: challenging, learner-centered, active, relevant, valuable, and autonomy-rich. Again, like I say, in a second, I'm going to give you my my email address, and you can have all of this material. So we've been looking at these 4 C's, the super skills for learner engagement: critical thinking, problem solving, communication, collaboration, and creativity and innovation. Last thing we're going to do, speaking of creativity, is this. This is something that I suggest you all do with your students in class at some point. At the end of the class. It's called the 1 minute summary, and it's super easy. Now, it only lasts 60 seconds, so your students don't have time to get bored. I'll explain how it works, and you're going to do this now. Except I'm only going to give you 30 seconds so we can have a Q&A. Otherwise, Mahamba's not going to be happy with me. This is how it works. You're all going to write something in the chat box, beginning with this phrase. In this class we looked at, because this is what it's a good idea to get your students to do. So I want you to think of everything that you've seen today during this session. And I want you to write in the chat box, all part of one phrase or one whole sentence. In this class, we looked at, and continue from there. Now, I'm going to give you, like I say, 60 seconds to do this, starting, no, 30 seconds because of time, starting now. Okay, you've got 30 seconds. So think about the activities we've seen today. Also, I think it's a good idea while you're writing in the chat box, I think it's a good idea to, whenever you see a conference or some teacher training, to think, you know, how you can adapt what you've seen to your context, to your classroom, or to your teaching online. And that obviously takes into account, you know, your school, the way things work, the learner needs, etc. Okay, I think that's very, very important. Right, 30 seconds is gone. You may send your messages in your chat box now. So, Abdulaziz, in this class, we looked at generation. We did indeed. Fun mix of words. Good. Deborah, we looked at engagement. Clara, 4 C's, and how we can use them with our learners. Good. Keep them coming. And listen, when you do this with your students, by the way, what you'll notice is, even though everyone was in the same classroom, everyone will have a different take on what they saw that day. And they've only got 60 seconds, 1 minute. So they can't get bored doing this. And it's a really nice 60-second reflection for what you've done in class. And then you can just say, okay, so what did you write down? What did you write down? Just with 2 or 3 people just before the end of the class. Great. So I'm going to leave the last words to Sarah Mercer herself. Why is learner engagement so important? Well, this is Sarah Mercer here. And at the bottom right, you've got a link to a YouTube video there, which is, she's got a lovely talk about learner engagement. And this is where this quote comes from. She says, without that human connection, everything else is doomed to be a battle, she says. And I 100% agree with her. Without that human connection, everything else is doomed to be a battle. So that's why learner engagement is so important. And if you think back at the beginning of this session, you wrote for me in the chat box your favorite teacher at school. And I bet that one of the reasons for that is that teacher was engaging for you as well. In fact, most people wrote that, I think. Well, it just for now remains for me to say thank you very much to Africa ELTA, to Amira, to Mahamba for everything. Sorry, Amira, I've like totally gone over the time I was supposed to for the questions, and I'm going to shut up now.
No, thank you very much for the session, Alistair. It was very engaging, and you shared with us very inspiring activities to do with our learners. It's interesting because you shared these activities and also talked about how we can adapt them to our context. So whether we are teaching online or teaching face-to-face, whether we are teaching large classes or small classes, I think these activities are amazing to do with our learners. And I'd like to invite here our participants to share any questions they have in the chat box. I'm going to read them so Alistair can answer your questions. We still have 5 minutes before we end this webinar. And as we are waiting for questions, because I see all the positive comments on the session in the chat box, I hope you can read them, Alistair.
Yes, I can. It's lovely. It makes me very happy.
I have one question for you about
yes.
adapting these activities to different age groups. Do you think some of these activities fit a certain age group more than another one, or do you think that they are really good activities to engage any type of learner at different age groups?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one of the earlier ones we did in the session was the one with the cards with the animals on. And yeah, I mean, that originally I thought of for younger learners, but the great thing about it is that like with everything, like we just said, adapting it is like super important. Because it can really be used for any lexical set. Now, if you think about some of the course books we use, some of them even use that sort of direct method, as it were, of getting language across, even up to like advanced level. In fact, I've seen, I won't mention the name of the book and the publisher, but I've seen one course book, which at the back of it has all the different parts of animals for C1 level, because they relate to metaphors about animals, for example. Like if somebody bares their teeth, it means they're angry, for example. And there's a little picture of a lion baring its teeth. So even then, with C1 level, that can be used for that reason. And like I was saying, yeah, if it's online, then it tests spelling apart from memory. And if it's face-to-face, it tests drilling, which is great because you're drilling your students without them knowing that's what you're doing. So yeah, but sorry to just sort of properly answer your question. Like with anything, I think it's really important to make sure you think about your students and adapt to what's appropriate for you. Oh, we had some questions.
We have another question in the chat box. Can these activities, I think, be like adaptable to different levels, or you think they only fit one language level?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I think that some of them are aimed at younger learners, like the one I mentioned earlier on. But then I mean, to be honest, I'd say all of them really, you can think, right, how can this suit my students? How can it suit their needs? When I say needs, I don't just mean their age and their level, but you know, what they're interested in as well. Like, I mean, okay, this one, definitely, absolutely, any level as from, I would say, A1 plus, really. So my advice would be to really think about your students, going back to this, and then think how you can adapt them, because this is the other thing. You're the person, I think people sort of underestimate teachers sometimes. I think a lot of teacher trainers maybe underestimate teachers as well. Like you're the person who is best placed to know your students and what their needs are too. So that's what I think. Oh, there's all sorts of questions coming up now.
Yes, there is a question about using emojis, and Mahamba is saying that the meaning of them may differ according to the context. So what is your advice for using them?
I can see that from Mahamba. Okay, how would use emojis to bring common understanding to learners? Yeah, I think that's this is the thing. Emojis is an example. I mean, from my context, it's something like I was saying that on platforms like WhatsApp or Messenger, people use all the time. And I appreciate there's probably plenty of contexts where they're less used. What's interesting about them, though, is they've got this sort of cartoon-like facial expression. If you think of them, don't think of them as emojis, perhaps. Think of them as cartoons. Right? If you think of cartoons, one of the great things that everyone loves about cartoons, especially children, is the exaggerated facial expressions. And if you think back to, I don't know, maybe some Disney cartoons, for example, whenever anyone gets hurt or one of the bad guys gets hurt, they have a big, you know, exaggerated facial expression. And they have facial expressions for all these things. And talking about that, and I think talking about the empathy that goes with that is important, because that also builds community in your classroom as well. So people aren't ignoring each other's emotions too. Don't get me wrong, I understand in every context, people have to be sensitive to it. I get that. But I think bringing the students' thoughts and feelings into the classroom is super important, I have to say.
Yes, we totally agree on this. Thank you. See the comments from our participants.
We agree. Yay.
I'm afraid that we have come to the end of the hour. This has been really a very interesting webinar and a very engaging session. You demonstrated engagement in action, Alistair, not just lectured us about this, which is great. Thank you very much for the session tonight and for having you with us at Africa ELTA webinars. If you have one final word to say, you are welcome to say it, and then we will end the session.
All right, one thing actually, because somebody was asking Jibi about what Clara stood for. Again, like I say, if you email me, I'm happy to send this to you, but it's challenging, learner-centered, autonomy, active, it's relevant, valuable, and autonomy rich. But like I say, just drop me a line and I'm happy to send this to you. But thank you very much again, Africa, ELTA, and everyone for coming today. I appreciate, especially like Honey was saying, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning or something where she is. So I salute you for your presence, definitely.
Thank you, and thanks everyone for joining us tonight. The recording of this webinar is going to be available on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel. You're welcome to watch it and share it after the session. Thank you all and see you in our future events.
Thank you, Mara. Thank you, Mahamba. See you next time.